The July meeting order, we'll salute the flag, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just before we get started tonight, I just want to do Mary a favor and ask that we speak up a little louder because it is harder with the mask on to hear.
Yes.
So if we could all just speak up a little bit louder when we talk, makes it much easier for the recording and Mary to get note minutes. So, thank you.
And this thing in my ear.
Yeah, that doesn't help either. So, all right, let's move. Let's get ready to move to approval town board minutes. Any corrections or objections, comments?
Move to approve.
Move
Second.
Approve. Second.
I'm sorry, Mary. Move to approve.
There you go. That's better.
Thank you. Thank
All in
you.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Oh, you know what? I never brought our workshop minutes to the park.
What?
I wrote them up. Did I send them? There?
No. No.
I'll have to do them next month. The park workshop. I typed up minutes for it.
Oh,
So I'll have to bring them next month. All right.
minutes, yes.
Written communication to the board. Clerk report. Mary, please.
Okay. Clerk report for June 2020. Dog licenses, $22.50. Town clerk fees for death certificates, $190. Solid waste fees, $1. Interest in the checking account, 3 cents. So the total check for the general fund, $213.53. Paid to New York State Department of Agriculture and Markets for dog licenses, $9. Paid to Columbia County Solid Waste, $14. Total for June, $236.53.
I'm sad to say we'll accept that report. A little better than last month, but it's terrible, Mary. Thank you. All right, go ahead with the mail review if you could. If not,
Okay. What I have is from New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. This is regarding sales of fishing license, hunting licenses, and the like. They're going to terminate my appointment as a license issuing agent because they did a recent review and this location has not sold enough licenses. They are going to a new system, and I'm imagining that's why they're looking into that. I haven't been able to find out if anybody else has been terminated from the program of the other clerks with Columbia and Green, but I'll see what more I can find out about it. But I'm really sorry that I'm not going to be able to sell licenses anymore. And we don't have a lot of people that fish and hunt, or that get them here, but it was nice to be able to do it for them. And then the other thing is my deputy, Tracy, was registered, excuse me, to go to the town clerk conference, which was going to be held in Albany. Originally April, changed to August. They have canceled it now, but we had also sent, canceled it for her going. So I should be getting the checks back for both the reservations, the hotel reservations, and the registration fee. So that's all I have.
okay. Thank you, Mary. Move on to correspondence for web committee. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? Okay. All right. Move on to committee reports. Bob?
Yeah, the highway guys did replace some of the tiles under the swings. And I looked at it today, looked pretty good. The worst ones were replaced. There's some others that are questionable that probably should be, but they've got more tiles, but they don't have the corner pieces that connect them underneath. So they've got a couple of those left. We're gonna see if we can get a few more of those. I'm not sure how much they are, but.
Well, if we need them, I think we just go ahead and get them. How much could they possibly be? The mats are expensive, so
Yeah.
I would just assume get them so it's fixed because we want to take care of that for safety issues.
Okay.
So.
And the other thing was, I did meet with Amy, and we walked over the whole hill and looked at the path, the proposed pathway. And I thought we had come to an agreement, but now I see that she wrote a letter that kind of backpedaled a little bit.
Well, I attended the park committee meeting, and she brought up a lot of good points, and I asked her to write the letter because I knew that I wouldn't be able to remember them for future reference, and I just thought it would be good that we all had it. And I hope that we can kind of, find some kind of compromise between the two, that we can find, a path that everybody can agree with.
Well, she did talk in her letter a little bit about the ADA,
Mm-hmm.
and I paced it off. It's about 130 feet. And I don't think that the hill is more than 10 feet high and where we're gonna go up from the parking area where we're starting. So if we go gradually up there, it should come pretty close, if not actual ADA requirement. And I'd like to tell Jimmy to go ahead, so he can put the culvert in and let that settle for a little while before he starts the rest of the work.
Well, I know we were also waiting, and I haven't heard back yet. We should hear shortly from the AARP grant about whether or not they're going to fund that too, because that was for materials for the path. So I think sometime I would say in the next 10 days, we should hear back from that.
Okay.
Bob, why, Amy seems to have some very reasonable concerns in here, including the slope and ADA and just where the path starts and ends and so, I mean, the rendering really seems beautiful and it seems like a very reasonable suggestion. I'm just wondering why don't you like
Because she wants to go crossways on the hill and up to the highest, steepest slope, whereas what we've laid out is the gentlest slope to begin with. And if we start right back at the parking lot and go gradually up, it should be a pretty easy slope. All right, and also, now there was also mentioned that it comes up at the back of the monument. But once you get up there, it's pretty level in that area, and you can walk either way. In fact, Amy and I talked about a place to put a picnic table and a couple benches, and so the path up would allow you to get either to the monument or to the picnic table. And I just, I think it's.
So the things that you brought up are the slope. It seems like this would provide a more gradual slope, and there's also some concern about how the path might wash out over time, and this would potentially be a more durable solution too. I also think just leading, like you've created a lovely monument there, and with the idea of the puppies and all the rest, like this is a really beautiful entrance to the monument. I don't understand why we wouldn't sort of go with the committee's suggestion.
I don't think it works. It meanders back and forth, and it's going to be a lot more work, a lot more material, and the highway department doesn't really want to do it that way. Right? And they want to do a straight path, and it will be a gentle slope. And I just think that's the right way to do it.
Well, we may end up having to hire somebody to do it if it's more involved than just putting in a straight path, I did see where she started out, and it turns a little bit, which is probably nice. And then when it gets to the top of the hill, I think she also had to turn around and walk around in front of the monument, which needed or not needed, I don't know, certainly could be added or whatever, but the slope itself, I think, what Bob originally laid out was the straightest, least amount of slope, so it gives us the gradual feel. But again, we start getting into, a more architectural design installation. I don't know if the highway department is going to be the ones that do it. So we may end up having to hire that out if that's the case. And I don't think we want to get onto that, to have to pay somebody to just, to put this in. So I don't know if there's a happy in between or, what we want to decide to do. But I certainly would like to do something that the highway department can do for us so we don't have to pay $5,000 on some put a path up there.
I don't think what she suggests is that much of a departure from. It's still a path.
Mm-hmm.
She does suggest that we use like a stabilizing material,
Which they would use anyway. That's for like a road stabilizer material.
Right.
Same thing.
But I think it's just like somehow the curve of it would perhaps be more durable over time because it'd be less prone to erosion, which seems like a reasonable concern.
Right.
I also just think aesthetically it's really nice. I don't know.
Well, I think when you're talking about pushing somebody up there in a wheelchair, which I've done, right, is a straight path is much more prone to that. And kind of weave it around. I mean, when you come and you gotta make a turn, just going up straight is a lot more practical.
Well, if we're gonna have to wait, what'd you say, we're probably here in the next 10 days for the grant? Maybe what I'll do is take the rendition of what she's proposed and go over there with Jimmy and see if it's something that he says he can do. If he can do it, fine. If we have to modify it a little bit, but if he can do it, maybe we could go ahead and proceed with something like that. But we don't have to make that decision until we find out we have the grant anyway. And then we can go ahead and maybe wait, we're gonna have to wait till, next month anyway to approve it, once we find out if we have the grant or not.
Have
So
you
then
all,
we'll have his information and see.
you've seen this rendering from Amy?
I have, but I haven't actually had a good understanding standing out there.
Of the difference between the two?
Exactly.
Yeah, me too.
Right. So looking at the pictures and the rendition of what it might look like is a little harder for me than actually going out there and
Right,
seeing
right.
where it's going.
Well, I don't think, I had forgotten that we had the plan talked about 3 different paths, and I don't think that right now that's something that we can take on. And I know probably the preferred one would be something that starts over here. I think that's going to be much more expensive just because of the length of that. So I think if we start with the path from the parking lot over there, and that maybe, years from now when we get a big windfall of money, we can do the path from here, that the two can link up would be ideal.
Which would be nice.
But I think,
Absolutely.
if we can start with a path over there, I think that would
The
be.
problem with the long path, and that was something that when Scenic Hudson was here and Ray and I walked out with them, that they suggested that the problem with that is we have to put in some parking spaces, handicap parking, at the beginning of that. In fact, if you're gonna make that to be your handicap access, then it's just, it's gonna be a lot more
Mhm.
work again.
Right,
And then you're bringing cars and stuff in through the area of the town garage, and the trucks are there, and if we end up moving the piles over that area, then you're just compounding that as well.
right. Well, and that's why I think, for the time being, let's concentrate on one from the parking lot over there.
Yeah. I agree. And, that's the best thing. If we can't, if Jimmy says that they can't handle what we want to end up doing, then we'll just have to price it out, see what it's going to cost to do it, a
Yeah.
different way. But
I don't know how much longer this path is. I just don't know, actually if they're the same price to build or if there's a significant difference with culvert. I don't know.
okay.
But I think that this is I don't know, personally it seems like a nice opportunity to highlight what's there.
All right. Well, why don't we get his
Yeah, I guess
opinion
I'm
on it?
looking at usability for people that are going up it, as opposed to how does it look from the street.
Well, if it's
I-
not useful, then it doesn't matter what it looks like if it's not useful. So I don't think.
Amy, she's trying to make it a more gradual slope and a path that's going to
Right.
be more durable, so I don't know. I agree with you, Chris, I would like to go look at it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's hard to visualize.
But, the thing is, I did go out there with Bob.
Mhm.
So I kind of have a pretty good idea what Bob is looking for.
Mhm.
And I know in Amy's letter, she referenced the handicap parking, how that would be an awkward way to get in.
Mhm.
But I think in my mind, I was thinking handicap is actually more accessible and more appropriate for the handicap. So I was looking at it from a different angle.
Mhm.
But I would really actually like to be out there with Amy to see what she's talking about. I think she also mentioned the covert, how
Yeah, I have a
her rendition wouldn't use a covert
I
pipe.
don't know, Greg, do you wanna-
I don't have a copy of the pictures, no. I don't have it with me.
I don't have those.
But that was part of why I didn't understand the actual location, how it was going to go there, because I don't see any option other than a covert pipe, no matter how we get there.
Yeah, because there's a big dip right there.
Yeah, I just didn't see the difference in how one way would create something worse than the other, and I see a culvert pipe going in no matter what. I just didn't understand.
So I guess maybe the idea is, has Amy marked off the version that she is suggesting?
I don't, unless she did it this recently, I don't think she did.
No, I do know she marked off for the fence
Fence.
rails and the berm. I know she
Yeah.
did do
Saw
that.
that.
So maybe we can ask her to mark off the alternative, so we can just look at it too in the highway.
Yeah, if she wants to try and put, just a couple little spray paint marks to show what she's thinking, and then we can take a look, that's probably the easiest. and,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah,
Jimmy
I
can
think
see
that
it.
would be very helpful
Yeah,
to,
that'd be
to
helpful.
really get a better understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, so why don't we have them take, if she can do that anytime, whenever she lets us know when she has that done, then I can have Jimmy take a look at it and see if it's something he can do, if we think it'll work. If not, then, we'll talk about it next month and make a decision which way to go. And then we'll know by then if we have a grant.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Bob?
No, I guess that's.
All right, Lindsay.
Sure. So I have a few things to pass on from the park committee, and I was not on that call, so Don, you'll have to help me. I guess, since we're looking at handouts, the other thing that Amy sent over for us to consider is an alternative spot for the piles that are presently by the stream. We all know about these piles, we've talked about them many times. So it seems like there's space by the garage. I know the committee is anxious, and also by the ball field potentially.
Okay. Yeah, just looking at this, I absolutely do not like the ball field location. To me, that would be, I'd leave them where they are before I put it on the ball field over there, so I don't like that, but I don't mind them over here by if it works over
Yeah.
here.
I agree.
Again,
I don't think they should go by the ball
No.
field.
Yeah,
If
I don't
we
like
want kids
that.
on them, then we should move them closer to children.
but again, this is something, we could have the same conversation when I, meet with Jimmy and see, it looks like it fits here, just to be practical, see if it does, because right now, this picture does not show all the trees that Towsey planted along the property line, and it doesn't show the big pile that he has stockpiled there, but if there is adequate room over there, only thing over there is our well in the back corner, we just have to be careful, but if he thinks there's enough room there, I don't have an objection. I think we'll probably hear from a couple of neighbors, but, we'll hear that no matter what we do,
Right.
so.
If you're putting wood chips and stuff in there, that's not gonna hurt the well.
No, I'm not worried about hurting the well, just the location of the well. I mean, we can't certainly be on the well, so.
Have there been salt issues with the well?
We haven't had any.
This one, the old one, that's why.
Yeah, that's why it's been moved so far back,
Right.
so. But no, we haven't had any issues. So,
There was a well, before the new salt shed was built, it was an old salt shed, and it wasn't big enough to begin with, and there was a lot of leakage and stuff, and that did affect the well. And then there was a new well drilled, and a new salt shed.
so yeah, this guy can have the same conversation, take a look and see if he thinks it'll work, and then I'll measure it up and take a look, but, I don't have a problem with that location. But
Okay.
the other one I do not like.
Do we know that the footprint
I
is
think-
accurate based on, because I don't know when this was taken and how, the exchange that Jimmy has with bringing material in and out?
Yeah, we don't
It-
think we have
so-
that information, but we'll have to find that out. because-
Yeah, I see clearly that outlines fairly well where the piles are in the picture, but I don't know that the piles in the picture represent Jimmy's worst case scenario of, so
If
that
you needed
may
more
need to be
room or-
bigger, I don't
It
know.
almost looks like between the pavilion and the other building, it's probably enough for one big pile or something too, if you wanted to put, more something, so.
Yeah,
I think it's a conversation, obviously, we could have with them
yep.
Okay.
and
great.
decide, sure.
I will-
We'll have that for next month.
So another item on this list here from the park committee is the fencing, the split rail fencing to finish the entrance. I guess Amy has marked that off, and she just wanted to make sure that we were gonna purchase the fencing, and I guess it needs to be done by August.
Right, I think the question came up, were you going to go forward with the quote from Williams, or?
Yeah, I did see that, and she asked if there were locust posts and what they were saying, and I didn't get a chance to confirm what Williams sells. I almost wanna say it's
Maybe treated.
pressure treated instead, but to me, you know, to spend a couple $100 more on locusts, I don't see the reason for what we're doing. Treated the last, you know, 20, 30 years probably, so, I think we'll be fine to go ahead with that. But yes, I was going to go ahead and do that. So yes, that'll be done for the
And she
Okay,
also marked, and I'm not familiar
She did
with
mark
it.
it already, I know.
Yes,
but yeah.
and she back near that, I wanna call it the stream or the vernal pool or whatever, she marked off over there too if you wanted to put a fence rail there to keep
I
people out
didn't
of that.
actually look at that yet, but,
Okay,
she did mark it.
yes, she
Okay.
said she marked that also.
We'll definitely go ahead and get these in. That's something we can tackle differently, but we'll take care of this
Okay.
first.
Okay, great, so I'll open that. Another item was, interest in potentially using some of the tools, from highway and just like a tool conversation. I need a bit more specificity on the tools that they actually need. I know it's like wheelbarrows and some rakes and shovels and so on. They're doing an awful lot of work over there.
Right,
These
with their
days,
own,
a lot,
yeah, cause I
yeah.
know Ellen brought over a sprinkler, I think she said,
Mhm.
so that while she was weeding, she could move that around. You know, a wheelbarrow, they did talk about, and I'm not sure who, at the meeting, they did talk about coming up with a list of tools
Mhm.
that they need.
I think Amy's gonna work on that.
Okay.
Or someone.
You know, and a wheelbarrow, you don't need that often, probably we could use, but shovel, rake, stuff like that, I think we could go ahead and purchase a couple of those
They're not
things.
that expensive.
Yeah, I mean, you know, $100 wheelbarrow, it wouldn't be used that much, so I think we could borrow the highway department,
Right.
but as far as shovels and rakes and stuff, I think we have to get some of that stuff to keep it separate.
Could we keep them in the highway department shed or the,
Well, they keep that locked. I never did ask the Village Green if we could use their shed out there, because that would be
How
ideal.
about if we were to buy one of those pre-built sheds?
That's what I was thinking.
I mean,
We
they're
could, to
not
lock some
real
stuff up in.
expensive.
that could be very convenient for them over there, maybe where the files were.
Where would we put it, you know, out here in the
Or
back?
just behind the village green sheds, whatever. It's just so, Amy's bringing a ton of equipment every time we have a planting from Bard, so it'd be nice to.
Yeah, I mean, well, we can look and get it, you know, if the committee wants to look in and get a price on something, you know,
Okay.
small,
Yep.
simple, you know, not too expensive.
Right.
Yeah, some of those, they're Amish built.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I don't know, I've always thought that they were kind of pricey in comparison to just building something yourself, but.
Well, we'd have to, I didn't think they'd be that bad, maybe,
yeah, worth looking into it.
I'm
They can
not
certainly look
Either
into it.
way, yeah,
Yeah.
just something that they could lock and
Yep.
I think it'd probably be easier than having to, coordinate with highway, but,
Probably,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
better to keep their stuff separate anyway, just because I think
Yeah.
it's easier.
Yep.
It's their departments are separate. you know.
okay.
If something gets missing or broke, then it's gonna be a headache.
Pet and a dog. So
And
they
then-
don't block it.
The last thing here,
You don't have to put that in
is the committee was hoping to do a 2020 park priorities presentation in September. Would that be possible to put them on the agenda
Sure,
for them?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
What was that?
September?
To
I didn't hear
add,
that.
add a park presentation to the September agenda.
A park?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Park
like,
presentation.
Or just sort of review of priorities, where we are. I think it'd be
Okay.
nice to have them
With the
Check
board,
in.
you're saying?
with the
Yes.
board. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Sure. It can't be the last thing, because you got signs.
Yes.
Well, I saw that elsewhere on the agenda, so I didn't bring it up.
Alright,
But we can do that now.
that's fine, either way.
So the signs are, I think everyone has copies and the fast signs estimate as well. The idea is that we have versions of this, of the two signs on both sides of the park. One by the ball field parking lot, one by this parking lot.
Okay, looks like all the changes were made and added, the additions were made, so, this looks like what we agreed upon, so I don't know if there's any other further conversation on this, but, the only thing is the, obviously, location, but we can approve getting the signs, and then Jimmy will install them, so we just have to pick a location. And I know Bob has brought up quite a few times that he likes to see, you know, something coming in as you're driving in the park, which I have seen in a few parks. But I gotta tell you, I just never read anything I drive by like that, so I personally think it should be closer to the parking area where, you know, when you're either slowing down or you're parking, get out, you see it, so.
Yeah,
I don't
agree.
really know exactly where, I don't really have a preference, but I think it should be up that way myself,
I
so.
think the hope is from the parks, I don't know about on the other side, but here they hoped that it would be, I think, not on the side of like the long side by the soccer field, but on the sort of the side facing the veterans
Monument.
Mhm.
I think that's a good idea.
Again, I'm not that partial, other than I think it should be somewhere up around the parking area, so. But we can agree on a location afterwards. Let's get the sign since that's been
Yeah.
a monthly process here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did we
So,
get a second estimate of the cost of those? Did we need it?
I don't think so. It's $396, so, we don't have to have another estimate. It's, you know, it seems like a very reasonable price on the estimate, so. That's, I don't have an issue with that. Unless you do, but I don't really. That's fine.
yeah, it
Yeah,
seems
for $400.
reasonable,
Yeah.
yeah.
$396.64, 84 cents. So we can go ahead and approve those if we're willing to do that. I mean, I'll accept the motion to approve these.
I'll make the motion.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's for 4 signs from Fast Signs in the sum of $396.84.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
So I will go ahead and order those then, Ray.
Yeah, if you want to go ahead and order them,
I don't,
will they
I
bill
can
us or
get-
give you an invoice, or do they need to be paid and you want to get reimbursed?
I can figure it out. And I can go pick them up or.
If they'll give us an invoice for them, that'd be better. If not, then if you can pay for it, then we'll
Yeah,
reimburse
that's
immediately,
fine.
whatever is easiest. Okay. All right.
There's a couple things on the agenda for the committee that I'd just like to, I see it again, when we talked about this at the last meeting, to seek neighbor approval for perimeter planning plan. We don't need the approval of any neighbor. We can take their input and we may, look at it seriously,
Mm-hmm.
but we do not need their approval. We should not even be considering it, we need their approval. That should be gone.
Yeah, I mean, that's not necessary, but,
I think the committee's just trying to work with the community and get support from.
Well, that's fine, but to say that we need their approval implies something altogether different.
So just
yeah, so we seek their input,
seeking input, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
but.
and there's another, a formal adoption of the park
Oh, right.
plan.
We were gonna do that at
Uh,
this meeting.
Well, again, I don't see us adopting the park. First of all, it's not a plan. It's a recommendations and suggestions. Okay? And I think we can accept it as such.
It even says that right there. Recommendations.
Yeah,
Okay?
so, right, so we should make a motion to accept the park plan.
We could do a motion to
No,
accept.
no, we should not
Receive.
accept the park plan.
We could accept the recommendations.
Whatever language you'd be comfortable with.
I think
because-
that we talked about accepting it as a guideline.
That, yes.
That's fine.
However you'd like to word it, that's fine with me. I mean, it's just, like I said, it's a recommendation, it's a concept. So if you'd like to come up with the wording you'd like to hear, I mean, we can accept it as whatever you want. Right.
Do we accept the, I'm not quite sure what the title is, as recommendations as a guideline for future development of the park?
Sounds pretty
For
good.
consideration in future development.
All right, let me make sure, accept as recommendations for future guidelines, is that how you? put it?
Consideration for future, as consideration of future guidelines for park, future, I got future in here too many
Sorry
times.
again.
We accept whatever the name of the report is, which I,
Hatling Park at Claremont and Claremont Park?
yep.
Hetland Park, at Claremont, okay.
As consideration for future development of the park. For consideration of future development of the park?
In consideration of future development.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I'm trying to avoid is I don't want it to be seen that this is the plan, and the committee can then just go ahead and start doing things without the town board looking at it and deciding.
Well, I think we all agree there's things in there that are probably beyond our ability, especially immediate ability to do that. There's things in there that are would be great to do. I mean, some of the electric and the,
Oh, yes,
you know, the,
I'd love to have electric over there and building
right,
and,
yeah,
so.
that's probably not realistic.
I don't think there's any expectation from the committee that that would be the case. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
the
these
committee,
are-
the committee doesn't do anything without the board's
Mhm.
approval anyway,
Right.
because obviously they don't have the authority to do anything without the board's approval, so, I mean, they can bring it to us for
That's true.
consideration.
I don't wanna see wording that implies that they could at some future time if they thought they should.
Okay, all right, well, that should cover it.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a motion,
Yes,
Alright.
Dawn, and a second?
I can second.
Second, all in favor of that wording?
aye.
Aye, opposed?
I hope I have it.
Carried. Okay,
It'll be close.
all right, is that it, Lindsay? Done?
I think that's it.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you for
No problem.
remembering that, Bob. That was
Chris?
I don't have much, just some additional updates on the website. Cheryl had me post a letter to make it official that the final assessment, is in place for review. I think that was one of the last updates I did on the website,
Okay.
but,
And
that's
we
all.
have the volunteer list, the volunteer sign up.
Yes, I have a
on the
link.
website now, too.
Right,
Thank you.
and I thought there was some discussion of, now I'm linking to the form that you created.
Mhm, mhm.
So I thought there was, and I made some changes with the park page, and I thought there was, it's probably gonna be an open discussion on,
Yeah, I think they would
changes
like to
and-
add more
yeah.
content there about the history of the park, just some of the stuff from here. That's
Right,
really nice.
right.
But they're not, I don't have anything yet.
okay,
Yeah, that's a little ways away.
okay,
So there's a sign up form on the park website now where someone who maybe sees one of our great signs here will say, oh, I should get involved. And they can sign up to volunteer or perhaps join the park committee. And Amy and Jen are going to get emails every time somebody signs up, and then they'll contact those people and keep them in the loop of volunteer opportunities in the committee.
yeah, and the page that's there for the park right now, the one with the documents, was documents, and now it's, I think I changed the wording on that to, the committee proposal or something, I forget what it was,
Okay.
of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of a growing thing at this point, and I just want to emphasize that that's not the page and the intention of where we're going now, so
Okay.
there should be some changes to it.
Would you want, should they like make a Google Doc or Word doc or something for you to like pull, would that be an easy way to translate content onto the site, for them to do editing, to suggest content? How would you like to receive those changes?
I just want to understand where we're going with it.
Uh-huh.
Kind of an outline?
Yeah, more of a plan rather than,
Yeah.
let's add this little piece,
Okay,
because then it gets jumbled and it
Sure.
doesn't look nice that
okay,
way.
so maybe a more
So,
comprehensive.
yeah,
in whatever
kind of like what we did with the whole website.
Right.
So
yeah.
this is sort of a step or an offset
Mhm.
of the town's website.
Mhm.
So I think it just deserves a little more attention, a little
Yes.
more thought.
Yep, definitely. Okay, so I will pass that on.
Okay. Is it? Good?
Yes.
All right, Dawn?
The only thing I have, and I didn't look up before the meeting, I had talked about having St. Luke's Church open in August for the Sacred Sites Open House. That's coordinated, I think it's by the New York State Preservation League. As long as they're still doing that in August, I will have the church open, most likely on Saturday from like 10 to 1 or something like that. But I'll check on that and get some information out. It was August something, I don't recall what the date is, but I'm not sure. I haven't looked around to see if they've even canceled it again,
Okay.
because it was originally in May. So as long as they're doing it, I will do that also.
Okay. Excellent.
Go over and clean out the dead bees and be all set.
That's never ending. Never ending. Okay, that it? Then the grant we're gonna wait and hear
Yeah.
on, we'll have that coming up, all right? Okay. Old business, just a couple things, park update. I just wanted to look, Bob covered it with the playground. The highway guys have taken a look at some of his tiles, replaced some of them. We're waiting to see if we can get some more corner pieces, but I did want to address the safety issues that we've been talking about for a while, and that's why I have down here the parking wheel stops as a new business, so we'll talk about that as well. But I also have a quote. I got a fence company to give us a quote as well. Actually, Jimmy got this for me, he took care of it. It's putting the parking rail stops around the parking lot by the ball field that were actually part of the guidelines and plans, the 6x6s with the 2x8 all pressure treated bumper stop light.
Oh, cool.
So they priced it out. We're waiting for the second price. We only have one price
You
right
didn't get
now.
that- You told me this morning.
He didn't get the second one. It didn't come in yet, but Oakdale Fencing was one of the companies that bid it. And to do the north side and the south side, we didn't go on the ends because obviously the end, no cars can go out the other end. And they did come near the entrance. They bottlenecked it and made it so it was, an entrance to the parking area, so people just aren't driving over lawn like they've been doing.
And is this for materials or installed?
This is everything, material installation. So they figured 30 sections on the south side and 28 sections on the north side. So the two together comes up to $7,700.
How far apart are the posts?
They're all 3 feet in the ground with concrete, and they're 6x6s. He didn't put down the spacing on there, I don't think. Probably 8 feet, because I said keep them as like a parking area, so if people look
Yeah,
at the parking area.
the more posts, the
So,
stronger it'll be, of course.
yeah,
Right.
so I think it should be 8 feet, but we need a second quote anyway, but I just wanted.
30 sections, you're gonna have a post for each section.
Right,
So we
and
know how long it is.
we're also gonna
Well,
need,
it depends on how the length of the, what are they, 2x8s?
2x8s.
2x8s.
2x8s. And they're also gonna leave a couple breaks so people can walk through, the one side facing the
Right.
parking area, or the playground.
So
So,
this would be that would be just for that side, not for this side.
that was just for the ball field side.
Mhm.
Yeah, just for the ball field side. So, we're waiting for the other quote to come through. When we get it, we'll take a look, but I'm sure it's gonna be somewhere in that ballpark. I'd like to, again, that's one of the safety issues I think we should consider moving forward when we get the other quote. He should have it, hopefully, he put another call in today, he just didn't get it, so hopefully tomorrow. But, maybe at the next meeting, we go ahead and think about,
And that would be in addition to the concrete stops, because you were talking about
this
that.
is totally separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the stops are over at Hetley Park.
Yeah, stops are over here, and they wouldn't work well over here, I don't think, because you don't have a solid ground to mount to. I think the concrete stops will work good on the blacktop, but I don't think, it's not something we can really consider over here.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I think this is the way to go to be as safe as possible for over here.
I think it'll look nice.
And it will look nice.
People
Yeah.
will sit on it, it's
Yeah.
just like a nice feature.
So, again, we get the other quote, I'll probably bring it back next month. I just wanted to let everybody know that's a ballpark we're looking at. It's quite expensive, 6x6, if anybody's bought them. I mean, one 6x6, 8 foot is $25, $30 for
Yeah.
one piece, so it's really
Is that,
expensive
is
wood.
that all treated?
All pressure treated, yeah.
Okay.
And they're concrete in every hole, so I mean, it adds up quite a bit. It's a big area. I get 60 feet on one side, whatever it is.
Is there a case to do them just along that side for the soccer field while they're at it? I don't know, maybe there's no efficiency, but.
We're not really encouraging anybody to park down there, so I don't know if we really would have to put them over there. But
I mean, just along, like, on the backs, between the parking lot and the soccer.
oh, on the one side, you mean?
Just on the one side.
The only problem with doing that is we can't drill through the fabric over there, so you can't get the post in 3 feet because, we don't have that far to go. I mean, you can put it at 2 feet, they'll just be a little weaker. I'm not sure if we want to go through that expense and to do that over there, which the wheel stop should actually probably work fine. We could have them price it, I mean, if we wanted to look at that, but
I mean, if you're gonna
do one side, you probably have to do the other side, otherwise it'll look kind of funny.
Right,
probably.
You're talking about the overflow parking?
No, she's talking
No,
about
just
the,
between the asphalt parking lot and the fields. Just on the one side. I don't think actually we would wanna do it on both
So if you've
sides.
got the stops there, you don't need.
well, she's saying instead of the stops. Don't do the stops, do the, that's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, just perhaps on that one side to give like a visual separation between the soccer fields and the parking area.
It probably would look nice, might look nicer, but again, it's just gonna be more money because those concrete stops are quite a bit cheaper. and the installation's free, so I don't know, I mean, that's,
Yeah, I think we stops are fine for that.
I don't know, anybody else have any, I mean, any suggestions or comments on that? Because to me, I feel, they're
well-
probably fine, but,
I mean, based on the quote and the issue of whether or not we can go deep enough,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the concrete stops are probably better, and maybe if we realize that we can go deep enough, maybe that's a future enhancement.
you could always put it up afterwards, yeah,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
for aesthetics, basically, at that point, but yeah, I mean, we
Right.
could always
Yeah,
add
I
that.
think over there, probably those concrete stops probably are the better option.
Could we just get a quote for it? I mean, maybe we don't.
Yeah, we can have
but
the
it's
guy-
not gonna be any,
We can have the same
Big
two
deal,
companies
okay.
quote that, I mean, basically, we just need the measurements once we figure out what they're charging per foot, and we can figure it out.
And then whether or not we can go deep enough, because
That's
that,
the
We're not
issue,
that
gonna
may
put them in,
change the
yeah.
quote drastically if we have to penetrate.
right, which we don't wanna do that, cause that
Right.
gets into a headache. We gotta get the DEC's approval and all that stuff, so.
I mean, is it possible even to consider, for aesthetics, putting the concrete stops down and then maybe a split rail? Yeah, the split rail's not gonna stop a car, but
Right.
aesthetically, it may provide the same
That's true.
and maybe not go as deep. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I don't know what kind of depth we have to work with over
well, we
there.
should have 2 feet, as long, because when we're digging the
Yeah.
trees and stuff, and there's probably almost, if not 2 feet.
Okay.
So it should be, that's what's
2
supposed to be
feet should
there.
be okay
So,
for a split rail.
yeah,
Right,
Yeah.
for these, I don't know that would be.
No,
I mean,
I
there's
agree.
plenty
I'm
of
just thinking
separation
aesthetically,
between
Yeah.
like Lindsay is
blacktop
suggesting,
and
maybe a
grass.
split rail,
Right,
No,
you know,
no,
with
that's
the
a good
concrete
idea.
stops and between the two of them, it
More.
accomplishes.
yeah, and we may not need anything more, I mean, we
or
can see what it
closer
looks
to the
like,
soccer fields or something like that.
see what it looks like
Yeah.
on
I
the
think
concrete
from
steps,
a
and that'd
safety
be good enough.
perspective, it's certainly nice.
Yeah,
All right, well, we can certainly get that one, get the rest of the quotes, the other quote for that fence, we can add that in, and we can get this guy to re-quote that, but,
And we'll just know, and if we, if we wanna add it on in the future, if we can, that's great, if not.
okay.
it's
All right.
kind of-
So we would take that out of the $10,000 that we budgeted for the park this year?
We could take that out of that, or we could take that out of the donations that we have,
Okay.
because I'm not sure, depending on how the budget ends up towards the end of the year, we may wanna not put all that money that we put into the
Right,
park,
right.
into the park, so we'll have to wait and
Right,
see.
because there's a good 20,000
We
in
have
donations.
almost $30,000
Okay.
left in donations, so, yeah, I would say we'd probably use that out there first and see how we end up at the end of
Okay.
the year, without, shorting ourselves. All right, so next month we'll have the answer to all that, and maybe we'll have the answer to the extra too. Red Wing Mining, we talked about this a little bit earlier with everybody. I got a call from the DEC about the Red Wing mine. We filed for lead agency, and now also the town of Milan has filed for lead agency. So that causes a problem because now there's a conflict for the lead agency. The DEC, actually, the guy handling it called me up and said, this isn't good because, don't want it to go to their department for interpretation, because 99.9 out of 10 times, they decline both of the towns, and they take over, and they do the permitting, and they take lead agency. That's something we do not want, town of Island does not want, because we're more familiar with our concerns, the problems, the inaccurate information on the application, the whole 9 yards. We should be, or the town of Milan, but I think we should be the ones handling this because it affects our town more than anybody, because all the traffic comes right down through Claremont and through Livingston, but we're the ones that are, are bordering and it's partially in Claremont. So I tried to get a hold of the supervisor after I got a call from DC last Thursday. I called him, left a message. I called his cell phone, left a message, and he still has not called me back. Because I really think it's a conversation we need to have, because one of us need to, and DC said this, one of the two towns has to withdraw their application for lead agency.
But what about Livingston? They don't want lead agency?
Well, it's not in their town. It's partially in Claremont, it's partially, they don't want it. No, they don't want it. That's the answer, they don't want it.
'Cause, I mean, they're affected too.
They are affected,
Trucks are coming.
but it really should be
Yeah.
the town it's in. So I'm waiting to hear back from the supervisor. If I don't hear from him, I didn't hear from him today either. I was gonna give him, I probably shouldn't really wait any longer. I probably should call tomorrow again, and maybe I'll try to get a hold of the planning board chairman, because that's, obviously who's handling it, just like our town, and see what their concerns are, what they're thinking, because one of us really need to come to the conclusion to pull it back. And I really hope it's them. And I sent an email as well saying that. So we just do not want them to take over and handle this either way.
By what date do we have to have that?
I think they sent me an email. I think it's by the end of this month there has to be an
Okay,
answer.
So we have
So we don't have a ton of time, so it's something we gotta get on, and again, have one of the two towns, and you know what, if push comes to shove, if we have to withdraw, I'd be willing to do that, so the state does not take this over, because Mylan does not want this either. So I think either way it's good, but if we both stay in and we both lose out, I think we're gonna have problems.
Is there did the DEC suggest any opportunities for the towns to work together?
They didn't
Mileage to
say.
provide input?
Yeah, they
It
didn't
seems like we should be
say.
able to have, there should be some way to coordinate.
And maybe we have an expert in the
Even if
audience.
If you're not lead agency, you can be an interested.
Maybe there's a way that it can happen. You have any input on this, Chris?
She's exactly right.
Yeah?
An interested party or a joint committee
All right.
making an agreement between the two towns.
Well, that's a conversation I can have with, if I ever get a hold of somebody, but I think that's something we can look
That'd be
into.
great.
Yeah.
It seems like it would strengthen our case.
Yeah. So, just to give everybody an idea, that's where we're at, and I'm gonna be following up and trying to get a hold of somebody in their department to get a hold of me, let me know, so, where we can go with that. But, all right, I'll update everybody as I find out more. 2020 budget, just, I don't have the actual numbers, but I've spoke to the treasurer, and the the June payment that we received for sales tax, since the first payment of the quarter was high, the last two were down about 30%. It averages out about 20% less than last year's check we received this time. So it's down tremendously, which we were kind of figuring, I think about 20%. I'm hoping, everybody's hoping that things are leveled out and going back up. So the next check, if it stays around 15, 20% down, we're fine. I think we'll be good. If it's down 30%, we'll start, we're gonna be pushing it by the end of the year. Hopefully it picks back up, but we're gonna be fine as far as our revenue is going. The CHIPS is gonna be guaranteed. They said that is coming, and the storm recovery money is coming. So I
He
told,
said the chips was gonna be cut a little bit.
he said that, but the county still says that they've heard no.
Okay.
So it's possible, anything's possible at the last minute, but even if they do, it's gonna be a small percentage, but the county said that they've heard that it's gonna be funded, because that's already been there. So, as far as the rest of them go, I think we're gonna be fine. And again, we have plenty of money in the fund balance if we need it, but that's why I was saying we'll hold off, maybe we'll take the money on donation instead of putting that money in. We may not put as much money into his equipment fund at the end of the year if we're short. We have some ways, to save a little money. So, other than that, our budget's pretty bare bones minimum. We
Right,
don't
there's
have a
not
lot to
of
play
place-
with.
Yeah, it's not
So-
like we can cut Mary's office supply budget and have
No.
a big windfall.
The whole $1,000 is not
Right.
gonna help us much, so again, I think we're gonna be fine, but just to keep everybody updated, we'll know better, next couple months. So, hopefully by the time we get through our budget process, we'll have a better, clear
Right, because we
view.
start that in September.
Yeah, by the next sales tax check, that'll help tell us a lot, so. Okay, that's about all I had. The new business, we just approved the park signs, and the other thing was the parking, concrete barriers. That was, again, for 28, which now we may want to take out, if we're talking about parking, handicap parking, we may want to make 3 spots into 2 and leave, more room and make it a spot in between. So we don't need 28, we actually need 27 to fill all the spots over there if we want to go ahead and do that. So 27 of the concrete 6-foot wheel stops comes out to $972, and then it's $95 to deliver. So for $1,067, and Jimmy will install them. I think it's pretty much a no-brainer to make it a little bit safer over there. So
What was that for? I'm sorry.
for the 6-foot concrete wheel stops for the parking lot.
Oh, okay, out in the parking lot, okay.
So if anybody, he tried to get another quote on these too, but he had no luck with the other quote. So he said this is, you know, where they usually get them from, so I don't have a problem for $1,000, $1,067. I think it's, you know, a reasonable price. So, as a sole bidder, I would accept that if anybody has any other questions on it.
No, I'm actually in favor of that, but I wasn't sure if we're gonna get a quote for the wood. In addition to that, I don't know if we wanna do both of those, do we, necessarily?
No, that's-
I mean, for the price, I don't know if it's worth not doing, but,
Let's do the concrete ones.
Well, we only talked about doing wood on
See how
one
that
side to
goes
start
for-
with.
that's true,
but,
that's true.
Yeah, I was just thinking it would be nice to like, I mean, that's the area of greatest concern, right? Because you have the kids playing right there.
Right, you don't want somebody
It's-
driving off in there.
it's
People have been
additional-
driving around and circling on the lawn, which we
Yeah.
want to try to avoid,
It's a
so.
visual, you can see clearly.
I would even be maybe even more interested in maybe a split rail if we did do something to aesthetically put a separation there. I think a split rail may look nice. I'm actually more in favor of the concrete, but I didn't want us to overlook the fact that we're gonna get another quote.
Yeah, I was thinking if we were gonna do it, it'd be more for aesthetics and visual to put both. I mean, I really thought these, you know, because you see that a lot too. You see the
Yeah.
parking stops, then you
Yeah.
see a, you know, a barrier.
I
Right.
think it's fun to have both.
Yeah, for the ones, because we're only talking about doing one side
Yeah.
anyway,
Right,
with
right.
the wood, so.
Yeah,
Well, the committee has talked about like, I wouldn't do the wood on both sides because in part the committee has discussed needing additional parking lot space in the future, so it might not make sense to, you know, see how that plays out, what capacity is needed.
Okay.
No, I'm fine with this.
you want a motion?
Yeah,
I'll make a motion.
for $1,067,
A second.
the 27 of them. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Get a copy of that and then the other two.
Yeah, I can give you everything.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, supervisor report. I don't really have a lot to go over, you know, other than everything that's been going on. I mean, where do you start? But I think the county has been finally opening back up. We're back to full staff. I just mentioned before, anybody going to DMV, make sure you're there an hour before they open. Otherwise, you're in line for 3 hours. But they are very, very, very busy up there. I know the highway department is doing the same thing as we're doing here in the town. They're holding off on spending, and their budget has been reduced and cut because the county saving money. They cut the amount that the town was going to be the county's going to be putting in. They're going to spend the CHIPS money, and that's going to be it. They've cut a lot of money out of the bridges and all the departments. 20% out of every department have taken out.
So we're not getting our Mill Road Bridge this year.
We're not getting the bridge this year. So, you know, they're preparing for the worst. They have secured a line of credit. Well, it's not a line of credit. It's a revenue anticipation note. They've $15 million credit line. Basically, it is a credit line, but it's not. It's a loan from the Bank of Greene County to fill in the missing revenues that we're anticipating. If we don't need it, we don't have to borrow it, but it has been approved. We're all set, so they can approve it. They can, you know, access that money whenever we need to. But you know, they're just predicting 20 to 30%. They're thinking it's going to follow through the rest of the year. I personally, I'm optimistic. I really don't think we're going to see that big a downturn. I think things are coming back, but maybe I'm wrong. So, but at least they have a backup plan in place if they do need the money to borrow it. So to get us through the year. Anybody that's been paying attention, I mean, online sales are through the roof, and we're getting a portion of sales tax. We're getting it, you know, from online purchases now. So they don't have a way to quantify and to calculate what we're getting back from that. So I think that's going to be a big boost that they're not anticipating. So I really think it's going to be better than what they're predicting.
Yeah,
Does that come through at a certain time of the year, the online sales?
He's looking into that because it's something new, because we really didn't hardly get any until just this past year. They started, you know, enforcing that. So the treasurer was going to update us at the next meeting, which is this Wednesday, to find out if he has more information on that. I'll have to let everybody know, but because, you know, everything is just, you know, grocery shop, everything's being done online. My wife's ordering from Target. They're delivering groceries to the house. I mean, it's great.
yeah.
So,
It is great, but I also, I was gonna say earlier, I worry about the brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
and it's going to take a toll.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough.
So, but Other than
I
that,
don't like buying everything online. I actually do like going to a store.
I'd much
So
rather go to a store
that's-
too, but-
That's the problem.
Yeah.
If they suffer too much and that option isn't there any longer, it's gonna bother me.
and other than that, the town hall is fully operational at this point. We're just requiring everybody to come in with masks, use hand sanitizer, trying to limit the traffic. Put this little curtain up to help Mary keep people out of her office. Hopefully that's helping. And,
It is, yes.
do the best we can. I know Sam said people come in, he meets them out here, tries to, do the best we can with it. It's tough, so we'll see. Hopefully, things will continue to get better, but, as you see throughout the rest of the states, it's getting worse, much worse. So, we were the first ones to get hit, so we're the first ones to look better, but, it's still here, so we gotta be careful. So,
Is there are any recommendations from the state as to should we have a HEPA filter, or I just worry about, right now, there's no air coming in, fresh airflow.
I'm sure they
I
have
know, I just
recommendations in
don't-
all the businesses and restaurants and, operational businesses. This building, I can tell you right now, would never, ever probably pass, for what,
Right.
it's not required.
Mhm.
It's recommended and it'd be better, but, to try to figure out a way to do it in this building, I don't even know if it's possible. We don't have a central area, we don't have a,
But it's just like a plug-in HEPA unit or so. I just don't. Maybe it's not actually useful. I don't know. But
yeah, to tell you the truth, I don't know if that would be helpful enough.
Mhm.
Anything would help. But
I
don't
don't
know.
think
I'm happy to
they're-
look into it.
I don't think they're doing anything in like the hospitals and nursing homes and things like that, which you'd think would be the place they'd
Yeah.
start something like that.
Mhm.
But
To reopen offices, when I did our plan, I didn't see anything. There was no requirement like that, no recommendation.
It's voluntary.
Voluntary. Yeah, I mean, if you can do it, that's fine. If you had like a unit that's moving air, yeah, you put better filtration system in. This place, we don't have anything, so this place is just, it's an antique.
Right.
It's historic. So
Yeah,
it's be
yeah.
tough.
Yep. Well, I'm happy to see if there might be, if that makes any difference, if having a standalone HEPA unit in a space like this could be helpful. I think it would be worthwhile investment.
Yeah, we can
They're not
look
that
into it.
expensive.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have one of my houses, a nice unit. It's supposed to do how many thousand square feet, whatever, and it's, anything helps and it cuts down on dust and everything, so. We certainly could, if you want to take a
I'm
look
happy
into
to
it.
look in. If it's
See.
effective, we can consider it, sure.
The other thing that Jimmy brought up to me was, he said that air conditioning unit did not work when he turned it on. He was having problems with it, and he played with the controls, and had to go mess with it. And he doesn't know why the compressor wouldn't kick on, but he finally got it to work. I don't know what's going on with it, but that thing's only, 4 years old? When we bought it? Four or 5 years old? So, it's working now, it has, but he said he doesn't know what's going on with it, but that's something we may have to end up looking at, and which may play into your question. Maybe we want to look into like one of the split, a couple split units that they
Yeah.
put in
Mhm.
that would work more efficiently. Maybe you could, cut down
one
on
of those
some.
ductless,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're great.
So, I mean, it's something we could look into. Maybe we want to get a quote on that. I think I can make some calls and see, but, this is not the year I really want to spend money unnecessarily. I wouldn't say it's unnecessarily, but
Right, right.
it seems like, that's probably going to be
Because we could
halfway
use that
expensive.
for
Probably
heat
good
in the winter
Make
too.
a justification.
yeah,
Yeah.
heat pump and air
Yeah.
conditioning.
Yeah, so it's something I may try to get some quotes on and see, because we probably need a couple of them.
Gotta put a
and
hole
see.
through the wall though.
Right.
Not big ones, little ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3
You
inch.
just have to watch too, like what happened at Resurrection Church, is that the ice doesn't flow off the roof and take the unit off the wall.
Yeah, yep. So I'll actually see if I can get some ideas on that, because it really probably wouldn't be, and that would help with circulation.
Mhm.
So maybe kill two birds with one stone. All right. Other than that, that's about all zoning board. Received a letter today via Mary. Dear members of the board, at the June 24th, October 20th Claremont Zoning Board meeting, a recommendation was made for the Claremont Town Board to review the zoning for solar panels, specifically the infrastructure and points of entry. Thank you, Desiree Weber, the secretary. And I think Bob knows a little bit more about this because of the meeting, if you want to maybe chime in on that.
Yeah, basically, we have in the zoning law screening for solar fields, residential or solar farms. But what they're concerned about was the poles that go up if you have a solar farm, like up at Colaruso's, you see several poles, and I'm not sure exactly what they do or why. But that was, seemed to be the main thing that they were concerned about. They wanted us to take a look at that, because it's kind of hard to screen poles that are 40 feet in the air. I don't know.
Okay.
Colaruso has the, I might just, because I don't understand it either. You're talking about like a telephone pole that brings
Yeah.
the wiring out?
Yeah, I guess if the electricity from the panels somehow gets, goes into some kind of a grid, and I don't know why they need multiple poles. They got transformers on them. But
Yeah, so it's not an underground,
Huh?
it's not underground, it's
No.
all above ground.
Colaruso's got such a huge unit up behind there. There's, what's it, like 8 poles out there with transformers on it. It's quite ugly, but that's on a, how many systems, that's a, I don't know how many panels are in
Yeah,
there.
that's big.
That's, yeah.
So, I don't know what they're talking about as far as us.
So is the person concerned about the screening? Like, are they someone installing solar panels or a neighbor?
It sounded to me that the planning board just wants it considered and clarified,
Well, this is the
addressed.
zoning board.
The zoning board would like us to
Zoning
look
board.
at it and see if we want to restrict the amount of poles and I guess, is that what they're trying to get? 'Cause
So
they have
just review
recommendations.
the current zoning laws and understand.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to restrict the number of poles. I mean, that's something that the, National Grid puts those up to accept the.
Well, if we put a
They're
restriction on it, that's also gonna put a restriction on how big of a farm it can be.
Right, right.
So we could
I
put
mean,
a
they
restriction
had
on it.
one applicant that wanted to, I forget, how do we determine the size of, was it by kilowatts or megawatts or something?
For what?
For the size of the solar?
Well, we did 10 acres.
Well, it has to
max.
be on 10 acres.
Yeah,
But
no, I think it was,
there's also a limit on the amount of power that can come out of it, because there was a applicant that had a 20-something acre, and they were told that they wanted, whatever, if it's megawatts or kilowatts, whatever, they wanted 25, and we allow 10. So they want to subdivide and have 2 lots next to each other that would each have 10, so it would be closer to the 25.
That's the one.
All right, and what they said about that was, the planning board told them no, they couldn't do that. And the reason they wouldn't let them do it is because it all comes to the same central connection going to National Grid. And that's as much as I know about it.
What I think this is about is the road going into where they're planning this or hoping to put this solar farm. That's where the posts are that, my understanding, are as big as telephone poles.
yeah,
So you've got these multiple poles going in, which I don't believe there's anything in the zoning that would keep them from doing that,
Right.
or limit that.
Well, not if it's on the
I
street.
think that's a concern, because you've got, in the middle of a residential area, houses on both sides, and these big poles going up the roadway. That's the way I understand it.
I think we need clarification.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not quite sure either. Yeah, I agree, because I don't know what we would restrict.
Ask them to make a recommendation.
Or if someone would come to the next
I mean, if
meeting.
they're asking us to, restrict the amount of poles, that doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Can someone come to the next meeting and explain it and maybe answer our questions?
We could just ask, we could ask them or have them respond, and, I'll follow up with her.
I think
Well,
it's.
you know what, it's just easier, I'll talk to Hank, because that's obviously where this came from, so.
Yes.
I think it's reasonable to think if you're putting up a small solar farm, and we have zoning laws in place for it, and what we are not addressing are 10 or 20 telephone poles that are, 30 feet high, we're not addressing it, I don't believe, in our zoning law. So we probably should address it. And if there is a restriction on a number of poles, then there's a restriction. On a single 10-acre lot or.
It would be good to
however.
understand what the implications are.
Exactly,
Like, I
exactly,
don't
yeah, and I'm speculating, I
Right,
don't
sure.
really know.
Yep. All right, well, I'll follow up with him as well, I'll find out what they're talking about. All right. That's it, that's all I got. I guess we can move on to, most of the abstracts.
Make a motion that we pay highway abstract number 7, vouchers 52 through 60, in the amount of $5,596.62.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I make a motion we pay trust and agency abstract number 5, claims number 8 and 9 in the amount of $893.50.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried.
Mayor, what is it, the prepaid and the regular are in the same folder now?
No,
No.
Lindsay's
No.
got prepaid.
Oh, I got it, I got
Well,
it.
this says 7, and the other two say 7A,
That last one should say 7A.
okay? And the numbers.
So who's
so
going
170
first?
Well,
Bob, you
no, go ahead, Lindsay. I'm
Okay,
looking at
I'll make a
numbers.
motion to pay
Okay,
general prepaid abstract number 7, claims 147 through 153 in the amount of $539.49.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I move to pay general abstract number 7A, vouchers 154 through 182 in the amount of $7,662.66.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay.
There's 2 tapes on here, and they both look like they got the same amount on the bottom, so I guess that should be right.
So they match.
I'm sorry, what, Bob?
There's two tapes. But
No, they're just, that's all right, I'll straighten those out.
Yeah,
They're
but
not-
it's the same amount on both.
Yeah,
both of them.
highway's also pinned on there. I'll get that later.
Okay.
All right, we want a public comment. We have public comment.
Yes, I would like to make some comments.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how to present the issue, given the current protocol. I have a document that I'd like to show you. It's not in high resolution, so maybe I could just lay it over a chair.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. So, the issue is, the property that I own on the east side of Commons Road. Let's see if I can see. I could put it on the table, but
You
I
wanna-
want to point to it.
Yeah,
I
put
want to
it.
point to it.
Yeah, bring it. We'll make it work.
Okay, this was the entire parcel when it was first purchased by the Rosses in, I believe, 1945. There was, at some time in 1949, the county took the right-of-way of the road from the individual owners and created this as a road. So it says, note 3, road line is generally in accordance with Columbia County Highway taking map entitled Claremont Stall Bridge Dykeman Gravel Bank Road. I think it may relate to the previous topic.
Which road are we talking about now?
Commons Road.
Thomas Road, okay. That's not a county road, is it?
Well, that's what I don't know.
Yeah.
Let me say, I've spoken to the highway superintendent, Mr. Jimmy. I've spoken to the Larry Sawpaw, a budding owner. I've spoken to Tom Jansen, who was the abutting owner but sold recently the piece that was touching. I've mentioned it to you.
Yep.
I've been to
Sam.
Sam. So I've covered the waterfront. So somebody, now I'm asking for, there's a map here map 4R2 parcels 1 and 2 dated March 1949. Is there any record in the town archives of that map?
I doubt.
Probably
The county
be in
clerk,
Harlem.
did you go there?
It's all been closed, and maybe we can.
Oh, well, when you can, because they're probably, if there is one.
That's my question,
best
because
bet,
then when
right.
I've asked that question to Jimmy, so to speak, he's saying, well, go to the county highway superintendent. And it's like, you know, they've got a map from 1949, who the hell knows? So is there a document that says this road was taken by the county, or was it just, it says Columbia County Highway taking map. Was there a subsequent agreement between the county and the town that the county gave it to the town?
7 years ago? I don't know.
Well, first of all, you should be able to find the taking map in the county courthouse.
That's what I just said, that's what she asked me. The
Yeah.
question is, it's not been open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So part 2 of that, go
Do you
ahead.
remember further in on Commons
There was a
Road
problem with Jansen.
when we had, well, Jansen and Mr. Moran.
Right, yeah, that was a deal between Jansen and Moran.
Right, and I think the map, I'm not sure now, but I think it came from Highway. They should have a record.
He has no record of it.
And when they straightened out Route 6 many, many years ago,
Yeah,
we had an issue came up there. Because somehow they didn't record it, it wasn't on these people's map or something, where they moved the road slightly,
right.
or took down an embankment or something like
But
that.
the county did that.
Yeah,
Well, that's clearer
That's
as
a county
that's a
road.
county road.
Yeah,
So-
why would the county be
Yeah.
doing this?
But
Well-
the taking, between John Moran and Jansen,
Yeah,
that was just a private thing that they did.
right.
Because the road got changed, and so there was a little strip of land.
Owned by,
You know all of it.
exactly, I know all that. The question
Yeah.
was, maybe it never came to the point of like, who owned that? Because that was still a common ownership. They hadn't taken the right of way, as this map does. It's like, where did this stop? So part 2 of this whole thing is, at this point, the property line, you bear in mind, there's a 50-foot elevation change between here and here. This is at elevation approximately 226. This is 276. So why did they come in 50 feet approximately to make the property line like this? So what I'm suggesting is, can there be some kind of agreement or a quick claim deed, or somehow can this be made to be more consistent with other street property lines where it's 25 feet from the center? So this hatched part is the part that I'm asking for who? Who am I asking to make that adjustment? Am I asking the town? Am I asking the county? Yes.
Is there somebody that's restricting your use of the land between the street and your actual property line at this point?
Is there someone at the land between my property line and the street? Yes, because I'm trying to get up here. And in order to get up here, I believe the road went up here. If I'm standing in my barn here and I look across the street, now I've cleared that pathway. There is a cleared way up there, like leveled, and there's also a utility pole right where that is.
So you're curious if there is like a historic right of way, essentially?
I don't care about a historic right of way.
You want the land turned over to you.
I want or I have to go to whom to get like a right of use to get up there.
Well, the
I want
key
to go the
is figuring
simplest
out
way.
who owns it, or who
Yeah.
has if it's a county, which I don't understand why the county has anything to do with a town road anyway. But if it's a county taking map, then they must have record of it. They may have to release it. We do this all the time in the county. I think I told you this. We have these
Yeah.
come up all the time. Slivers of land that became right of ways off old roads. we just turn them over to the homeowners because we have no use for them. The county doesn't have use for them. But I don't know why the county would own this because it's a town road, so.
Well, it goes
We
back
have
to
to figure out-
1949.
Well,
Were there
county
any,
may-
were there any resolutions at the time in the town board? There has to have been a discussion
That's what
about
I'm
it.
thinking too, is there
Yeah.
something in minutes?
The county may have gotten involved because they were changing the road, moving the road a little bit, right? Is that what happened?
If it's a
It's
town
me.
road, shouldn't
Yeah,
have to
but
do with the
maybe,
county.
maybe in 1949,
Maybe it was a county road in 49, maybe?
no, maybe the county people and the town people were friendly and they decided to get some help.
Well, maybe, but also,
Yeah.
that would be unusual, wouldn't it? I think that it also was at that time where all the property lines were down the center of the road. And
Oh, right here.
this was all one parcel.
So it says, it's right here. It gives you a page number, everything in the county clerk's office.
Yeah, but is that the way it's described here?
Notes. Are described, yeah, 722 page 259 on file in the county clerk's office.
That's the map that he drew.
I don't know. I'd have to look into that because I don't know where you go with this. Did you try the county highway superintendent?
No, they've all been closed.
He wouldn't know.
They don't
He's
know.
not gonna know. He's not.
No, I
He's
went
new
to,
anyway.
I went to, but, you know,
The engineering department, they might have. records
Probably,
like that.
maybe the engineer, because they would be
Yeah.
involved with something like this. If the county did anything with it, the engineering department would handle it.
Or county clerks, when you gotta see them when they're there.
well, then I would just see what the map is, and then I'd have to go to somebody else to say, what do I do with this, right?
Well.
Because I don't know
yeah.
if we have the authority to turn it over to you, because I don't know how it's deeded. I mean, if it says the county took it, then the county would be the ones with the authority to do it.
I can't see the county having any interest in keeping
I don't
it,
either. Oh, they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
So,
Well,
But
is
they
there-
have to have the proper
It's just a
authority
matter
to turn
of
it over.
going
to
back.
you.
Yeah, there has to be a document somewhere.
And one for them to give it to you, you know.
Yeah,
what
or
you want.
is there a document where they gave it to the town?
that
Who
should-
owns the-
who
yeah,
owns the
the
road?
county should still have the record of that, I would think.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, I can look, but I can't tell you that there's gonna be something from back in 1949, or I would find
I
it.
mean, everything is filed through the county, so
Right,
even,
it should have been,
the,
yes.
the county should have the records.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been up in, I don't know if you've ever been up in their records room, I've
Yeah.
been there, it's,
You mean in the clerk's office?
yeah.
Above the
Oh,
clerk's
yeah, yeah,
office
yeah,
there.
yeah. It's,
No, I'm still trying to understand what problem this is causing you.
I'm trying to subdivide this parcel to bring a driveway up to put a house up here.
Okay,
And he doesn't want to put the driveway on somebody else's property.
I don't want to put the driveway on someone else's property.
Basically, right?
but
And
it
there's
sounds
no
like
other
it's
act, I
a
imagine there's-
town road. And if you get a driveway permit from the town highway superintendent, you just go and build it.
Yeah,
Can you record that?
Really?
It's here, Chris.
Give Chris a permit.
That's, because it says that county taking, I mean, if it's a town road, I mean, whatever road you have, you have a right to.
But the Columbia County took it.
But they haven't used it, you've been using it. So by.
He's been using it, everybody's been using it, you use it.
the best thing you probably, instead of going to the clerk's office, maybe the best thing to do is to take it right to the county engineer department, which is right in the highway department. Go see Dean Knox, he's the head of engineering, show him this, explain to him, and he will know exactly where to send you if he can't do it. He might even have the records, I don't know, because if the county was involved with it, he would be involved with it, so, and he's been there, well, he's been there since the 70s, or 50s, but he would know what to do with this. And if he says, we can turn it over to you, fine. If it's gonna be a county resolution, that's fine, I can present it to the county. It would be no problem, it's just which one of us is the right one to handle it.
Yeah, so what you're saying is the county office is open now so that I can go in and try
The
and.
county is, if you go on 23B, the engineering department
Yeah.
is right above the highway garage. That's the best bet you're gonna have, because they would at least know exactly where to point you, I think, on this.
Okay,
And then, again, he might just say, oh, that's something the town could just turn over to you, fine, or the county can do a resolution, either way. I don't think it's gonna be a problem, it's just which one of us does it.
right, well, assuming the town maintains the road,
Right.
and so there's,
He's
You know.
probably gonna look at it and say, this has nothing to do with the county, I don't know what you do, but, you know, this,
Well,
let's
there must
say
be
it was
some
a county
agree-
taking, so.
There must be some agreement subsequent to that where the ownership of the road was transferred. Or is there an agreement that where a town maintains it and nobody ever talks about it or something? Because it's odd that at 9, it changes to a county road. So, yeah,
Yeah, and he's the one who presents usually when this happens in the county, he's the one who usually presents this anyway, so like I said, he handles this, so he'll know
Yeah.
exactly what to do with it.
okay, I'll talk to him.
I think that's your best bet. Dean Knox is his name, he's the one to talk to.
Okay, so then another thing I'd like to point out is since we're in the summer period of,
The speeding cars.
pardon?
Speeding cars.
You're not kidding. You are not kidding. And speeding cars,
Speeding cars?
you see them?
I do.
There's a couple of, I've had people yell at me. I was standing, I'm doing work on this barn here. I had a dumpster being delivered. The dumpster drives up, big truck, big empty thing. A woman comes around this corner, screams at me, get out of the way. I said, well, here's the truck, lady, slam right into it.
Jeez.
You know, this is becoming rude,
Yep.
you know?
What do we have the speed limit posted over there?
30.
That's 30.
Is it 30? I thought it was 40.
No, right here, somewhere along here, there's a sign, this
That's a recommended, right? It's yellow. Understood. But yeah, I
it's
think,
both ways.
yeah,
Yeah, nobody's going 30.
Didn't we
yeah.
go through
The yellow
Yeah,
sign
you
is
did.
recommended.
I made us think about it for a long
Yeah.
time.
Well,
But-
same thing we have over here on Buckwheat, same thing. You got
Exactly.
speeding cars going up there. The only thing we can do is ask the sheriff to patrol it and get, sit
But what
on
about
there.
one of those
They've been
things
out
like
here-
they
they've
have
been out here
in,
a lot recently, but-
The radar?
that thing that
radars?
they have like going into Germantown, it says this is, you're going,
Oh, 35.
Emily has one
Yeah.
too. Yeah, thank you for going to speed limit. It turns green when you're.
Yeah, there's another one, fairly new within the past year, I think, down at Bard.
Yeah,
Right
usually
near
they put
Fisher
those in
Center.
and going into a town or village or something. You know,
well,
you
this
usually
is
see them
going
on
into,
the road.
this is going into a village. This is, the hamlet border is right here.
This is why we refused to decline to put one on Buckwheat because, if we put one over there, then why can't we put one here? Then why can't we put one over there? We'd have them all over the town.
Have we considered speed tables or anything of that nature? I mean, that's physically that.
I saw a
really
good
the
thing,
only
I
way
saw a
to
good
go.
thing on a highway, LA is great for the highway chases, with the state police. And so they have this thing where one guy gets on the other side, one guy's on this side, and it's like to spike the tires.
Yeah.
And so they wait for the car and they pull the nails up, spike the tires, and then they drop back down.
Invest in one of those, you can sit out there and have some
I'll
fun.
sit right there.
Yeah, I mean,
It's dangerous because, I'm just letting you know, because evidently there's a program to repave this straightaway.
yes, there is.
Yeah, that's just gonna drive the speeders even more.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
going.
last summer we got one of those.
We have the temporary sign that just tells you how fast you're going.
That's
Yeah.
all I'm looking for.
I mean, I could request that they put it over there on that road for a week or two and record, because it also records the speeds and lets them know, how fast people are going,
Yeah.
the time, so that, if it's something, certain times people are speeding, then they know when to sit there and look for them.
It's
helpful.
rush hour.
It is
There's
helpful.
two
So,
rush hours morning and rush hours
if it
afternoon.
says it's between 7 and 9 in the morning, then they can go sit there between 7 and 9 for a couple of weeks, or, try to
Yeah.
pick some people up. Once you're ready for your tickets, it usually slows people down.
I think some people they're just not paying attention, and something like what you're suggesting, Chris, having one of those things out there is just, hey, I didn't realize, and maybe that'll stick with them for a little bit, but
Maybe.
Is it either direction that's more obvious where they're coming speeding from?
Generally,
both times?
depends on time of day, right?
it depends on the time of day, but
Because they can only put that facing one way or the other.
well,
Again, if you put it there, you're gonna get requests.
Well, that's fine to put that around, because it's a week or two, just to,
this is the straightaway. I think they're coming this way faster than they're coming this way.
Okay.
And the concern is on commons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They just
that-
put speed tables on River Road. People don't like them very much because they're not.
So this is
well
coming,
marked.
you're talking
Like,
about, this is from
a
9, right?
bump?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
This is from 9.
No.
Oh,
No,
No,
nine
it's
is-
Commons. I'm
nine
sorry,
is
I'm
down.
sorry,
This is
yeah.
Commons.
Volume's over there.
Commons, this is my house.
Yeah,
9 is here.
okay.
So you're coming off of 9,
So
you're
they're
accelerating, you
usually
get here,
speeding,
you get the first curve, something, like somebody who's really excited does the first curve, and then they go over here, and then you hear them accelerate.
Yep.
What's this one here?
So we should.
That
be
was
pointing-
an easement.
That's my driveway.
No, this was an easement to Larry Salport, it's still there, or not Larry
Oh,
Salport.
okay, it's,
The
that's
farm in the
different
back.
one.
The airport.
No, the airport one is
Oh,
here.
the other, okay.
Airport's here, this one was to the, I forget the, was it Potts? What was the woman who was back here?
Yeah, the
Oh,
house is
Potts,
still
yeah.
back there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, my driveway's the next one up, I guess, yeah. It's not
So
on the
somewhere
map.
towards the end of the straightaway, maybe over here, coming, facing that way, is probably the best bet to catch them.
there is there's, wherever the sign is, that's the curved sign, it is like, put it there.
Yeah.
All right.
Can they do have we had a speed study done?
No,
What was I thought the county came down and did something.
That's for speed limit changing, changing speed limits.
Yeah, but they didn't do any kind of a study, they just,
They usually do.
they did some
usually do.
recommendations, which is
Yeah,
where
they
the
usually
signs
do,
came
they
from,
look at
right?
it. Yeah.
I don't know
That's
how.
a-
Yeah, I don't know if it was a study.
The
or-
I
lower
don't know if there was a
speed
study, that they came
Yeah.
down because the signs were inconsistent. It had like one speed going this way and one speed going this way. So they made them the same.
Yeah.
I don't know if they studied it, maybe the study was they walked, oh,
Mm.
that's.
Yeah, that's not matching, let's make it up.
It's different.
Yeah.
All right, well, I can ask them to put this temporary sign out there to see if we can get some, get some people to slow down.
There are some habitual offenders who I won't name.
I
Some of
think
them-
the only way to solve it is gonna be some physical change. to
Yeah,
the road, right?
But on a long-term basis. The reason why, I'm not walking in the road a lot. I happen to be doing a lot of work
But a
there
lot of
now.
people do.
There are a lot of people walking on the road.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Same with buckwheat. I don't walk on buckwheat because I'm afraid of how fast the cars go.
Yeah, the repaving of that straightaway is just kind of,
I mean, trust me, this is a problem everywhere.
yeah, yeah.
It's just who's complaining about it, that's what you hear, because, you complain there, we hear it over here. It's on every road. They go
Yeah.
up and down my road so damn fast, it's
Can I-
crazy.
I'll get
They
another
wind up.
No, it's fine.
It's just, how you gonna stop them? You're gonna have to have police presence, it's the only way you're gonna do it.
What's Knox's
You can't
first
put
name?
speed bumps in a road and stuff,
Dean
what's
Knox.
that? Dean Knox.
Dean, that's
Well, I
right.
think in some,
Like
like,
the fort.
in more residential areas, I think that they could be appropriate where there's a lot of children playing and you really need people to slow down. In other areas, where it's a faster road, there's not.
Yeah.
Children are scared to, there's children next door to me, they don't play on the road. There's even in, Potts, the guy who died, his daughter moved back in. She has 2, maybe 3 young kids. They don't play on the road.
Well, no.
They
Shouldn't be playing the road anyway, but.
Well, you should be able to take a bicycle down the road, though.
Right.
There's a woman who, I'm not sure if she lives in Towsie's building or not, she has a young son, like this.
No.
She's got it down where I see her, she walks, it's like 2 or 3 times a day. She walks on one side of the road, she gets to the corner, she crosses to the other side of the road and then she's doing this. She's figured it out.
Yep.
Yeah,
People
where
flying.
the visibility is a big
Right.
deal, where you can see
Yep.
them the best,
Yeah, okay, that's my, thank you, I'll go talk to Dean Knox.
Yeah, I think that's your best bet, I really do. And
Maybe
then,
back to you, because then it's like, what is the, what's the instrument of how I can get the driveway up there? If you drive by there, you look at it,
he'll have the answer to what you need to do, and if it's, like I said, a county or town issue, then, we'll be able to act on
That'd be
it.
a tough spot to put a driveway anyway, right? It's kind of a blind area.
yeah, the only way I can see is there is a driveway there already. I'm gonna have a
Oh, okay,
a
yeah.
joint entry there, and then split them.
Yep.
What was the name of the road that they had on there? Can you find it?
Yeah, that's interesting. Claremont Stall Bridge, Stall Bridge.
Yeah, that's the name of the bridge all the way down to the end.
The Pleasantdale Vale
Yeah.
Bridge is Stall
That's
Bridge.
Stall Bridge.
Strawberry.
Yeah.
And
I never
Dykeman
knew
Gravel
that.
Bank Road?
And Gravel Bank Road?
Dykeman
I
Gravel
don't know
Gravel
that
Bank.
one. I never heard that before, but I know Stall
Dykeman.
Bridge, they still call it Stall Bridge.
Dykeman Gravel Bridge, Dykeman Gravel Bank Road,
Okay. I'll look and see what I
which
can
I
find.
believe is Red Wing.
Was interesting.
I think the Dykeman Gravel Bank is Red Wing.
Ah, okay.
The problem is, that I see, is if the speed limit's 40, you said, right?
30 at
It's
at the end.
40, but it's
Suggested at 30.
suggested at
It's still
30.
40.
Yeah.
So if somebody's doing 40 miles an hour running a turn, they can't give them a ticket, but that's still too fast. So maybe we need to look at lowering the speed limit,
Well, I didn't want to go that far, but the thing is,
because then they can write tickets.
the thing is, even 40 is too fast. I've done
That's
it
what I'm
myself.
thinking. I mean,
I've done it
that's,
myself, you know, like, if you're doing 40 on those turns, you're going for excitement. You know, I saw the other day, there was a crew of Harley riders, they all came, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. There are quite a few of them too, right?
because if, you know, if
There was
if
like
they
10
sit
in a
there,
row, so you could
Yeah.
really see the whole.
and somebody's doing 42, 43, 44, they're probably not gonna write them a ticket, but that's still way too fast. So I mean, maybe we're not looking at this right. Maybe we need to lower it to
Well,
30.
maybe then you have to talk to the county and do
Yeah,
this.
but
stuff.
Still,
Even
it's a county, but
35.
if town,
Even
we can still do it
35
on town
is-
road, that's an easy.
Yeah.
So, that may be part two of the conversation if we,
And I think we
Whatever
should really look into like some
Kind of
physical
19.
way to slow cars down, because there's just no way we're gonna have enough
Speeding
enforcement to
tickets.
ever.
Money, money makes a difference.
The only thing is, if
If we
you
can
put
get
speed
some out there
bumps there, and then it's a
Yes,
plowing.
right.
yeah, you
Right.
can't just put speed bumps on a main road like that.
No,
It's not like a development.
He plows, he goes right through. This section that I hatched here is like somewhere in the range of like 5,000 square feet, like this. It's like, you're gonna,
It's useless. I
You're
mean,
gonna-
we
nobody's
have
gonna
this
use
all the time. It comes up all the time.
yeah,
We've done it in Copake 3-4 times last year alone. I mean, it's just so many people have these little slivers that are left over, you know, for some reason they got lost in the shuffle.
well, it made sense at the
But
time.
is it the county, which, why it says county, I don't know. I would just assume it's the town, but you have to
Well,
have,
the map was done by Phil Massaro in, I saw an earlier version of it. This one happens to be dated in 2000, but there was an earlier version 15 years before that that I don't have here.
and the other thing will have to be is I'll have to have a survey showing, you know, that exact piece being turned back over, I think. Or
Yeah,
outline,
I have to
whatever.
know what I'm doing before
Right.
I have the survey drawn.
Right, who to go through and what you need to do.
Yeah.
Dean will answer it, he'll figure it out, and then we'll know where to go from there, I guess.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if I have his number, I may have his
What
number.
happened to the speed survey or study on County Route 19?
Oh, right, I thought of that earlier. That we
You gotta ask
requested a
I
reduction.
think
Had asked-
Did they lower it?
I
I
don't
didn't
know.
hear anything more, I thought they just did.
I don't know. Last I heard that you had found out that the town could request it and we wouldn't be charged,
Correct.
but I never heard anything that happened after.
I'll have to look it up, I thought they just took care of it.
So if I can return to the issue of the lead agency.
Yes,
There's, I think, a couple of ways you can proceed. There's interested agency, which is easy. Then there's, which you know, if one or the other of you become the lead agent, you can be an interested party, interested agent. Then you can also create not a coalition, but a partnership, and apply as the partnership, or tell DEC that you've made a subcommittee that is the group that would be the lead agent on behalf of the two towns. You
okay.
can try all of those things. I mean, they're not gonna tell you because they don't wanna, well, I don't wanna go into why they're not gonna tell you.
Chris, let me just take it, if you don't mind, let me just take a picture of the top of that map quick. Because I can email Dean Knox, and maybe I can get an answer for you, easier. Just where it says about the county taking, yeah, right there. Oh crap, well, you can blow it up, I guess. Just make sure I got that, because I can send that to him. Maybe save you a trip.
It came up again, or at the same time, because when,
Yeah, that's it, I got it.
when Tom Jansen subdivided this portion, I think he came back, there's this cutout there, I forget that guy's name. And then Jansen comes back and he had like 3 lots in here. It came up at that time by his surveyor, who was Decker.
Okay.
And Decker, because I talked to Decker, and Decker says to me, well, who owns the road? So I don't know if it was just a subdivision, you may never have seen it. But he might have had the same map, since Tom would have bought it from the same person.
Let me ask him what his thoughts are, and I'll find out.
Okay, move to adjourn.
Sorry to have taken
Adjournment.
Anything else?
I'm done. You're done.
Nothing else? Anybody else have any questions? All right, motion to adjourn by Bob,
Second.
second by Chris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, thank you. All right.